Welcome to Inspired Women Amazing Lives podcast, where we seek to thrive, flourish, and celebrate amazing women. I am Kimberly Wiggins, and we are hosting inspired women who are sharing their lives and their stories so that other women may know that the journey to their amazing life is definitely within reach. We are here every week to share resources and information that will help you along the journey to being that inspired woman leading an amazing life. And I am so happy to share our new business breakthrough segment that happens every third Wednesday of every month, where we are sharing with a live business owner, a mindset coach, and a marketing coach, and doing live coaching on the air to show the intersection of mindset and marketing effectiveness in the coaching environment for business success. Join us for that segment. You don't want to miss it. Remember to like and comment, and most definitely share these episodes with another woman that you admire and one who truly inspires you, or simply share with someone you would like to inspire. Enjoy. Welcome to Inspired Women Amazing Lives podcast, where we are inspiring women daily to live their best, most amazing lives ever. And with me today, I have a woman that does just that. I want to introduce you to my guest, Miss April Shprintz. And she is the business accelerator and founder of Driven Outcomes. April says after spending 20 great years in a variety of industries, solving problems, driving growth, and accelerating companies, she decided that helping people is who she is, not just what she does. I so love that. She left corporate America after her highest earning 7-figure year to form her own company to expand her impact to help as many people, businesses, and charities as possible. Now she lives her dream, helping innovators and entrepreneurs grow their businesses while they give back in a meaningful way. Welcome, April.
Thanks, Kimberly. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you. You are one super smart lady, and
Well, thank you.
yes, you have done a lot. Before I get started, and I always want to jump right into it, but I do want to hear your story. I know you've got a really good story that's brought you to this journey, so I really want to hear it.
Absolutely. So how far back do you want me to go? Like recently, or are we talking when I was a little kid? How do we want to do it?
How about taking us back from your corporate days
Sure.
to what brought you here?
Absolutely. So I did start out in the service. I was in the Air Force and then went into corporate America and did so many different roles and absolutely loved it. Constantly learning, constantly solving things. Really identified then that I was the person that when everyone else was like, there's no way to do this, I think there's one more thing. Let's try this. Just loved having all of those challenges and things to do, and ended up getting recruited from a company in the finance world to a company in the software industry that also worked in finance. And that was an amazing startup. It was such a great culture. And it was one of those things where there were no limits. There were no caps to what you could earn. There were no anything. It was just like, let's do the biggest thing we can do. And what I found in that was that it really motivated me in two ways. Number one, I could go so big that eventually the CEO asked me to stop selling and asked me to just slow down a little bit. But at the same time, there were more junior folks in the company that I got to help and teach and mentor. And I realized that watching them succeed at something and really get something big to happen meant more to me than anything I did on my own. And that really had me thinking. I was like, gosh, I feel like that's my purpose. I've always thought I had a purpose and I just didn't know what it was yet. And that really resonated with me. I want to be able to help people like this every day, not just in my spare time, not just as a leader of one organization, but as many people and as many nonprofits as possible. So that's how Driven Outcomes was born.
Oh, wow. Very nice. Um, the, the our stories are very similar, April.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Yes. I went in the military. I was Navy, not Air Force.
Okay. Thank you for
Um,
your service.
yes, same to you. And I didn't stay there. I came out and I did the same. I went into corporate America afterwards. And I'll tell you the thing about corporate America that made me decide to leave. I know it sounds like you were doing a lot of great things in corporate America. I just wanted to see if you kind of noticed the same thing. I noticed while I was in corporate America, even from a woman perspective, especially,
Mhm.
that there were a lot of smart, capable women in corporate America, but their talents and abilities were being wasted. And they weren't getting the opportunities. So I could see the lights kind of go out in their eyes. It was like they were losing, they weren't living their passion. They weren't using all of their abilities. And I could kind of see the lights just dim in their eyes. Did you find a similar thing when you were in corporate?
I found that I saw some of that. I will say that I think in a lot of cases, what I saw was very talented women being leveraged for that talent, yet not necessarily being given the opportunities that others might be given. Now, there were definitely exceptions. In every organization I was a part of, there were women I could look up to, but
Right.
they were definitely in the minority
Right.
versus the men that you could look up to. And, another part of the reason for starting my own company, I had this big desire to be a CEO of a big company. And I found that I would probably spend my entire life hoping that someone would elect me to be that leader when I knew in my heart I already was.
Yeah.
And I didn't need them to anoint me a leader. I could just go be one in that.
Oh, I so love that. Women, I hope my audience really heard that because I like that. I love, love, love that. That and now you are the CEO.
Absolutely. Now, interestingly, I don't even use that title, but I could, right? I might have to consult my chief dog officer, Cowboy, make sure he feels like it's okay. But
Yes. How nice is that? I love it, love it, love it. So if you will, April, just share with us a little bit more about what is driven outcomes. What is their main mission? What is your main mission with that company, and how is it tied to your passions?
so my main mission with Driven Outcomes is to accelerate and empower entrepreneurs and leaders in their companies. And what I mean by that is, a lot of people are like, oh, are you a business coach? Not really. Are you a consultant? Oh, no. I'm the anti-consultant. I work with too many consultants in corporate that talked a lot and charged a lot and I didn't see what they did. I really didn't. And there are great folks out there that do consulting, but my experience was don't call me a consultant. What I'm going to do is really get into your business with you. Decide what it is from a goal perspective you need to get to. And then my work is done when we get there. Not when a certain amount of hours have passed, not when there's a certain amount of money that's exchanged hands. I'm done based on that goal and based on them really being in a place where they maybe didn't even imagine they could. Because one of my unique gifts is to look at someone and look at their business and see things they don't see. I was just working with someone with a PR agency and evaluating their business, which they were hoping to be a six-figure business. And I was like, sweetheart, you've got a seven-figure business on your hands quickly. You could do it in a year and a half to 2 years, and here's how. And it's just amazing to me to be able to help people realize dreams that might even be far and beyond whatever they allowed themselves to dream about.
Wow. I love it. I love it. And I love that you have identified that gift that you have specifically.
That feels very lucky to me.
Oh, yes. And the thing, this is this is the other thing I love, April, because I interview a lot of women and I've done business with a lot of women. I've coached them in business, and a lot of people hide behind their gifts. I love the fact that you just said, this is a gift I have, and I know I've got it. And you're
Right.
embracing that, and I love it. It's like some people are afraid to say they have that. And I love the fact that you're just like, this is my gift, honey. I'm telling you, it works. Let me use it on your business and you see the results. I love that. Mm.
Absolutely. Well, I think we're taught not to do that, Kimberly. I think we're taught, be humble and don't talk about what it is that makes you special. I think from a young age, people are like, tone that down a little bit.
Yes.
But I disagree, because I think what makes us special is different for every different individual, and we can all leverage it to help the whole.
I agree. I so agree with that. Nice. Very nice, April. Kudos to you. Ooh. So now in Driven Outcomes, are you talked about this PR firm. Are you only working with large businesses? Are you working with medium size? What is your target? Or are you just single solopreneurs like myself? Are you?
So solopreneurs, I do have folks that I contract with, some team members that help me as well, but I am involved in every single interaction that we have with our clients, because I think that's important. And also the size of the businesses has varied greatly. So I've worked with Fortune 100 and 500 companies, and I enjoy that. That's great. I think my sweet spot though, Kimberly, is either that entrepreneur just starting out that's like, what do I do? Or the folks that are between 2 million and 10 million in annual revenue. Because what I find is those tend to be folks with smaller organizations, right? Who got there sheerly by being amazing, but they had no process. It wasn't planned. They just did it. And now they don't know how to get to the next level. They're like, so what do I do now? I feel like I've capped out. And so I can come in and say, now we add some infrastructure, we add some processes, we empower some of your people so that you can go to that next level.
Awesome. Yes. That when you talk about those businesses that are like 2 to 4 million, who just got there, they just woke up one morning and they were there, kind of thing. Almost.
That, or they spent 10 years in a labor of love doing it, right? And it took 10 years to get to 2 million in revenue. And now they're like, oh gosh, it's going to take me another 10 years to get to 4 or to 10. And I'm like, no, we can really exponentially scale your company. You just need a little help.
Yeah, that's really nice. I interviewed a lady that talked about how she didn't realize how much that would come in handy when she had someone like yourself that helped her kind of pull back her involvement a little bit and leveraged her team members, put in some systems. And then her husband had cancer.
Bless her heart.
Yes. And she had to disconnect herself from her business completely. And that's when she could really see the results of that, because her business just continued to run.
And I bet people in her organization stepped up in a way that it hadn't made sense for them to step up before. It's interesting. As entrepreneurs, we wear so many hats, right? I mean, you're what I used to joke, chief cook and bottle washer, right? You do absolutely everything. And I find that for a lot of entrepreneurs, especially if they're in a business they really love, it can be difficult to step back from doing everything, even if they're the things they don't like to do, right? They're like, oh, I'm the only one who can do that. And I have them step back. I'm like, so, Susan, let's say, are you the only one who can do that? Or are you the only one who does that? Because there's a difference.
Yes. Very nice. Very, very nice. Yeah. Businesses need to hear that. I hope my audience is listening. Now, what would you say is the main proponents or indicators of a business's success in what you have found in working with businesses through your company?
So I think I'm going to answer that from an individual place, because there's a lot of different things for a business itself, because it has to do with the culture and all the individuals. But for an individual, the 2 indicators of whether or not someone's going to be successful are aptitude and attitude. And there's just 2 things, which for me, when I explain that to people, they're like, just these 2? Absolutely. So aptitude, as many people know, is just how good are you at what you're trying to do. And the thing about aptitude is you can have natural talent or you can learn it. That one is really in a state of flux, right? I have never had an issue hiring someone who didn't yet have the aptitude to do something I wanted them to do if they were bright and capable and they had this second thing. The second one, in my opinion, is far more important, and that's attitude. And you hear this all the time, almost to the point that it seems overly simplified. But quite frankly, someone's attitude, their belief that they can do something that someone else says, well, that's going to be hard, or I don't think you're going to be able to do that. That internal attitude of, oh yeah, I can figure that out. Someone who's constantly looking for solutions in face of problems instead of spending all the time talking about how difficult the problems are. So I actually, in some of my work with folks very early on, I'll rate them on where they are in this moment towards their goal for aptitude and attitude. And it's hilarious. I have rated Fortune 500 CEOs as a 4 on the attitude scale. And I'm like, look, we can get you where you need to go, but we've got to get this in a different area. What got you here is not what's going to get you to this thing that you're trying to do now.
Wow. Aptitude and attitude. Now, you said something interesting a minute ago. You said their attitude, their aptitude is whether they can actually do the thing or not.
Mm-hmm. They have the skill or the talent to do it. But again, that's malleable. You can work with that even if they don't.
Because you said if they have the right attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I've never thought about it that way. But that's really, I think it's really, really important. And I hope that my audience is listening. That's a little nugget there with attitude and aptitude, simply because, you know, when you were, this is what I found about myself, April.
Uh-huh.
I was younger. I had that attitude of, I can solve anything, or I can do anything. Oh yeah. But isn't it interesting how we move along in life? Mm-hmm. That it's like that attitude, if you're not working on it, keeps dropping just a little bit, like, maybe I can do that. Maybe I used to could do that. Maybe how isn't that kind of funny? How if we're not constantly checking ourselves for that and working on that, how that attitude can be a little sliding scale there as you're getting older.
Which is weird. And I think that's something that we have to actively work to not let happen. One of the things that I talk about is to tune into your 4-year-old CEO. And what I mean by that is when I did work on myself, right, just to get to the place where I could be the best I could be to help others, one of the things that I really tried to understand was, when was the last time I was 100% authentically myself? Now, I'm authentically myself now, but I worked to get here because throughout the military and high school and corporate, it's be this version, don't be who you are. So in my own personal exploration of that at 4 years old, that was the last time that I didn't care about anyone else's opinion about things. I had just this real internal knowing of who I was and what I believed in. And if you think about it, it's also your gut, right? Your 4-year-old CEO is your gut. So I check in with her to make sure that I'm being authentic and to make sure that I'm having the attitude that she would have. Because at 4 years old, Kimberly, I was going to be number 1 Whitney Houston, which there were a lot of limiting factors there. I can't sing, I can't whatever, but I believed it. Or I was going to go be on television, which I eventually did. But I believed I was going to do all these things. And I believed it without a doubt. And my attitude was, someone else may be more talented and these things, but I just need time to get there. And I tell clients today, I'm like, there are people dumber and less talented than you living your dream because they think they can. And that's the only difference.
That is wonderful. Oh, I so love that. I love that. Oh, there were a lot of nuggets in there. And April, you are so right. The 4-year-old CEO. When you said that, I had to laugh because I thought about my 4-year-old grandson.
Right?
It was really hilarious at this point. And he thinks that he can do anything. He says, I can do it, Nana. It's everything he thinks he can do.
He's right. We limit him out of our fears. Don't do that, you'll get hurt. Don't do that, you're not old enough. Don't whatever. And we as adults, and we don't even realize we're doing it because we do it out of love. But that is the beginning of what you said, that attitude decline, because someone else told us we couldn't do it and we believed them.
Yeah. Very nice. I love that. Love that. Love that. Yes. Oh, wow. So now we're going to talk about goals for a minute. Now, I have some mixed feelings about goals and accountability at this point, and I'll tell you why. I've coached some people who we sit down, we come up with these really great goals.
Mm-hmm.
I give them all the accountability that they need, and then at some point they decide to blow it all off. And it's like, it's making me think that goals and accountabilities are not the driving indicators as I thought. Maybe it's aptitude and attitude. But tell me, what are your thoughts on goal setting? How would you say goals factor into the success of your business?
So goals for me that I set for the business, or goals as I'm working with other individuals? I just want to make sure I answer your question.
Give me your perspective on both of them.
Okay, so goals for me and my business, they can be very broad. They can be help as many people as possible. They can be, I want to find a way to give something back so that people who can't necessarily budget in to have someone help them have a resource. Those are my goals. So basically my goals are based on what makes me feel joy. What am I so excited about? Like, I have to do this, because then it stops feeling like work. It's just amazing. I want to be pulled towards something, not pushing myself to do it. I spent 20 years in corporate pushing myself. So now I go the pull route. With the people that I work with, this is what I find, Kimberly. I find that a lot of times people's goals are made up, again, of what society or their parents or the people they're around have shown them are valuable versus what they actually want. So when I'm doing goal setting with people, I'll do a weird exercise where we'll start as if they're at the goal, and then I will have them back me up to the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And it can be really interesting because in the middle of the exercise, they can go, I don't actually want this. I don't want this. Because people are telling you what they want, but you can help work with them to identify what they need. And then their motivation is different.
Yeah, that's a very good look on that. I'll tell you, especially in this coaching industry, mm-hmm. A lot of times, especially when you're working with, let's say you're working with coaches,
right?
What they're doing, a lot of them are setting their goals, mm-hmm. based on what other people are setting their goals on. So they're looking around and they're saying, well, this coach said she makes $5,000, $10,000 a month. Mm-hmm. So that's what I want to do. And when you ask them, well, why do you want to do that? What is so important about that number? Well, right. I feel as though if they can do it, I can do it. Or, that kind of money can really set me for life. Mm-hmm. Have you met clients like that in your, who?
So yes and no. I will tell you, I am picky about who I work with.
Okay.
In the sense that I only work with the folks that I know I can really help. And sometimes folks aren't at the place where they want to change. A good example is anyone who signs up for a gym membership January 1st. My bet is they're not really in the place to have a life change, maybe 20% of them, right? So I can tend to be picky with that. The other thing that in this goal setting you're talking about when they're looking at another coach that I always caution people with, whether they're a business owner, a huge company owner, do not compare yourself to someone else when you're in your rookie season and they're in the pros, right? We're negating all the work that happened in between. Okay, that coach is making X amount a month, but when did that coach start? You're assuming that they're on the same part of the path that you are. They've put in work that you haven't put in yet. So why don't we set a more realistic goal of, I want X amount of clients per year or X amount of clients per month? Because I do find that everybody tends to compare themselves to the biggest and the best out there.
Yeah.
And that's tremendously unfair to them to do that, because the expectation is super high. You wouldn't compare your grandson's ability to cook a meal to yours, would you?
Absolutely not. It wouldn't be a very good meal. Give me some cookies or something and milk.
Right. So it could be good, but it would definitely be different.
It would. Yes. All right. Yes. And you're absolutely right. And in this, I think in this information age of information overload, a lot of people do a lot of comparing, and they just want it to look like that. And I'm sure you're finding that when you are setting goals, when you're setting the realistic goals that apply to who that person is, what their business is, to their life, they're able to actually see the results.
Absolutely. And sometimes we set super unrealistic goals. Don't get me wrong. I was just working with a client who had a commercial real estate business, and he wanted to make $500,000 in profit in 2 months. That could be an unrealistic goal, but it was very doable for him and what he wanted and what his abilities were. So, and he cared, like that was something he really wanted to go after. So evaluating that, I was like, yes, we can go do that. That goal we can. Someone else could have told me, I want to make $10,000 in 2 months. And I would have said, that doesn't align with where you are today. So let's talk about what does.
Very nice. I like that honesty there.
Yeah, call the baby ugly if you have to, because you do it with love and you do it to their benefit.
I like that. Yes, yes. A lot of a lot of people are not honest enough in their assessment when they're trying to help other businesses. They're not honest. So I love that. But that is a part of your mission. That's a part of your philosophy. It's being able to say, my work is done when we get to your end result.
Absolutely. And, I encourage my clients to be very polarizing, and I am polarizing as well. So people are either running to work with me, or they're like, I don't want to even talk to that lady. Like, she isn't for me. But for anyone, that is such a benefit, because the people you can really help are then attracted, and the people that you wouldn't really be able to make a difference for based on where they are in their life, they're not even really part of your sphere.
Right. Very true. Now, on your website, I saw a video. It's about 3 simple business values that make or break your bottom line. Tell us about that. Listen, audience, you have to check out her website. There's so much information there. I didn't have enough time to gobble it all up. I've got to go back and visit. But tell us about that video.
So one of the things that we're lacking in a lot of businesses is that foundation of actual values. And it's interesting, because if you have an organization that really has values and really lives into those values, monetarily, that organization is going to perform better and better over time, and they're going to perform much better in a bad economy. So significantly, hundreds of percents better, because the people all have this common goal and this common belief system that holds them together. And the other thing that is so important about really having values is they give people a roadmap to make decisions and take action in absence of their leaders. If they can't get a hold of you, they can say, does this align with our values? And it's very important that they actually have them. Lots of companies have values, like they're written on the wall somewhere or what have you, but they don't resonate with people. And to me, the 3 basic values that have to fit in there are the ones that you referenced, Kimberly, which are respect, empowerment, and team. And really, when you see that, when you see respect, it's respecting everyone. And how many times have we been in an organization where someone has tremendous respect for the CEO or the vice president of their organization, but one of their coworkers they treat disrespectfully? Yes. So you're not living into that value. And if you have a strong values culture, a person like that will actually just vibrate out. no one will want that person there. They won't feel comfortable, and they'll leave, which is actually really good for your organization if the people that don't fit self-select out. Empowerment is, you talked about that with one of your clients, right? Who she wanted to grow her business and then she had to step out, and she got helped with that empowerment because people were able to step up and be empowered to take these other leadership roles, to do these other things. I find that if you don't have a culture that empowers people, you'll lose your A players, because your A players are always looking to get better and better, always not even necessarily be promoted, take on more responsibility, do better things. So that's a super important part of the culture. And when people are empowered, they'll also innovate, right? They'll come up with these great ideas. They'll do things that will keep the business itself very viable. I mean, we are in the age of digitization that is going to take people out of the workforce, and they don't even realize it. They don't realize their jobs are in jeopardy. If people are empowered to really think in an innovative way, that will go ahead and save those roles. That will go ahead and have them changing ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
And then, sorry, go ahead.
No, I said absolutely. You're right.
And it's important. And the last one, of course, is team. And that is so important because when we think about it in a sales organization, if you're going and you're working with clients, if that's a team effort, if you're not selling to them, you're trying to work with them to help them, that's such a better relationship. Same thing for doing things within the company. And again, these seem so overly simplified, but without them, organizations that think they're doing really well become those organizations that we read about that have those things going on internally that are a huge scandal, and things just fall down like a house of cards.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely. Now, these values, are you talking about being able to create a value statement?
Mm-hmm. Well, so absolutely, a value statement is important, but there could honestly be a case of having values without a value statement and them being very powerful. I see a lot of companies with value statements that don't have values, right? I know that they're not living into them, they're not using them. But creating that culture of values is, this just isn't on our wall. This is what we do. This is how we behave, and it goes from the top down, right? You have to, as the leader, exhibit all of these values all the time, reward those values whenever you see them in your organization, and just create a culture. It's no different from teaching kids manners when they grow up, right? It's the exact same thing. I will watch you and do what you do. Right. Regardless of what you tell me, I will watch you and do what you do.
Very nice. Yes, I love it. I love it. I saw that video and I said, "Ooh, I've got to talk about that," because I love that concept. And I think a lot of businesses don't even think about that. Even for me as a solopreneur, I think about it because I have very strong values. I just have very strong personal values.
Right.
So I make sure that I operate my personal values transcend into my business. Mm-hmm. I operate my business the same way with those same strong values. Mm-hmm. And I make sure that my clients honor those values. And also that if they don't align well with me in those values, then I feel that they're not a good fit. And I just, I will refer them to someone else who may be a better fit.
Which I think is very kind. That's awesome.
Yeah, because I want to make sure that I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best for them. I'm living my best life when I'm working with them. Mm-hmm. And I'm giving them the best of me. And I can't do that if our values don't align, I believe. And so I make sure that values are hugely important to me.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Thank you for that. Now, you have a new YouTube series. Tell us about that.
So my YouTube series is called Driven Outcomes Business Advice on the Go. And I copied a little bit from Carpool Karaoke because I do shoot it in my car. I mentioned earlier my chief dog officer, Cowboy. He is also part of the show. And what I do is I pick up entrepreneurs and business leaders and we have a conversation. I give them advice on things that they may be struggling with. I ask them their thoughts on things because they're always an expert in some field or some industry. And what it is just a really entertaining way for me to get some free advice out there to entrepreneurs that and different leaders that might be interested in these sorts of things, again, as a free reference point instead of perhaps finding a place in your budget for it. And we're hoping it's a little entertaining too.
Very nice. I love that concept.
I'm
So
excited. It has been so fun to shoot, and I have really enjoyed what I've learned from each guest. So it's been awesome.
nice. You're driving down the road. That's really nice.
Or dangerous, depending on the driver.
Yeah. Yes. So tell us a little bit about you have a philanthropic, let me say that right. That word is very difficult to say.
It hits me too, and I say it all the time.
You have a philanthropic outlook in your business. Talk about that for me.
Sure. So it really for me is twofold. Number one, the origin or genesis for it is when I was really, really young, 9 years old, a successful businesswoman took an interest in me. And I came from an area where there were no successful business women. So the things that I wanted, I was not seeing any examples of unless I watched TV, and they weren't in my little town. And so this woman took an interest in me and just told me, you can do anything. And I'm gonna come to your speaking events, when I did like oration contests, and I'm gonna come see your plays or come do these things, just for no other reason other than she had a huge heart and she took an interest in me. And from the day that happened, I was like, I'm going to help kids. I'm going to grow up and be successful, and then I'm going to tell kids that they can do it. And so I've been very involved with lots of nonprofits and charities. But what I've also found in business is that being involved, I say that businesses do well by doing good. When a company is involved in giving back and actually allows their employees to somehow be involved in giving back, that culture for that business, that identification with that brand that they work with is just absolutely quadrupled. There have been lots of studies done on how this makes people love their job even more. And what's so great about it is, as a business, you need to impact your community, right? It's a circle. It's a karmic circle, right? You get from the community, you give back, and it's very important to do so. So when companies work with me, there's always going to be an element of philanthropy. It can be as simple as, we're going to design one day a year that you pay your employees and they go volunteer somewhere, but they still get paid. So you're supporting that. Or maybe they want to give a monetary donation to a charity of their choice, or they want me to share with them some of the charities that mean a lot to me, and they want to donate. I even had one company I was bowled over. They actually started their own nonprofit. And there was going to be an arm of their business that they were going to direct profits to help kids, which just warmed my heart and I thought was really amazing.
Very nice. Yes. I love being able to give back. So yes, I'm glad that even though you work with a lot of different companies, you help instill that in them in some way. And so, because I think it's so important to do that, being able to impact, being able to make an impact, and that's definitely what it is. So very nicely. Now you do something in your own company.
Oh, I do. So I'm always looking for ways to give back. That was part of the impetus for the series. And there's something else that I offer to folks. So again, I've mentioned it's not always in a new entrepreneur's budget or even in a long existing entrepreneur's budget to bring someone in. So one of the things that I do, and you can actually access it on my website, is a 3-part acceleration profile. And it's 3 short calls with me. I say short because they're only about 30 minutes, but I really take them through the process of understanding their business, knowing the next biggest thing that they should do, and giving them a plan for, hey, let's execute on these things. This is going to make a big difference for you. And it is not a sales pitch. I actually won't even talk about working with me in these calls because it is about them and it's about giving back and just giving them that objective viewpoint to evaluate where they are in their business and where they can go from there.
Yes, I saw that on her website. I definitely wanted to talk about that because I saw that you'd had great testimonials on that. And I could not believe I've not known anyone else that does a 3-part call without a pitch. So,
Well, what's interesting about it is I do it in 3 parts because I find things start to happen for the people over that period of time. I do it over a week. And
uh-huh.
what's so cool is cool things start to happen for them in their business. So that's really neat. And the other thing is it gives them time to digest the information and come up with questions for me that if you did it just in one complimentary kind of deal, they might not think of all their questions. And this just gives them the opportunity to do that.
I think that's a great give back. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Like you said, there are a lot of business owners out there. And, I have a heart for women. And so there are a lot of women out there who've got great talents and skills and abilities and are wanting to do some amazing things, but don't know how to get started. So I think that's a absolutely great, great resource. And I appreciate you doing that.
Oh, it's my
Yes. So I'm sorry, my throat is dry. April has, like I said before, an amazing website. She's got a ton of resources in there. And I think, April, you don't really have just one free gift on there. You've just got a ton of resources on there. Am I correct?
I do. I have quite a few. And so what's great is you can go to the website. There are free downloads under each video. And those downloads, they also include worksheets to help you do the processes I'm talking about. The best thing that happened to me is I had someone reach out who was like, hey, I watched all the videos. I did all the worksheets. I have all my answers. Thanks. And I thought that was fantastic. I was like, I love that. So it really helps to give them some information. There's a PDF download on there too that tells you all the reasons you can do the impossible, just to really motivate folks and let them know, the moment someone realizes that someone else could do something is the moment that they realize it might be possible for them too. So I want to put that out there. Like it's a big thing about Roger Bannister, and he was the first person to run a mile under 4 minutes. Before that, everyone said it was impossible. Can't do it, just can't do it. So he does it. And then the next year, several other people do it.
Yes.
So that's what I want out of those resources. I want people to know that the only difference between whether or not it's possible or not is whether or not you believe you can do it.
Yes. So that website is a great resource, audience. Definitely go out there and check it out. There is something there for everybody. And you can sign up for her 3-part acceleration calls as well. It's really, really nice. I love that website. We're about to wrap some things up, but before we go, I asked April about a unique thing, and she told me this. She gave me permission to share. She said she is blind in one eye.
I am.
I can't tell.
So it was a birth defect. I was born with it, and it's legally blind. So there's still some vision, but not enough to do anything if it wasn't for the other eye. And growing up as a kid, it was so interesting because they put a patch over the eye, and then I had like really crazy colored glasses because I was so young. I was 2 or 3. The doctor thought if she picks out the color, she'll wear it. So they were bright blue. And I was just a mess running around like that. So when I did join the Air Force, I couldn't even talk to anyone about flying or anything like that. But I ended up going into broadcasting, so it was awesome. The only way it really impedes me is I have no depth perception. So for example, if you go to park your car, right? No matter how big the space is, I really feel like I can't fit.
That is so nice that you can laugh about it. And you're fine. Yeah.
It makes me a little bit in sports. I used to play intramural volleyball, and I'd have to tell everyone before the game, look, I'm going to go sometime at some point to hit the ball, totally underestimate where it is, and it's going to hit my face. This will happen. All I ask is that you keep the ball in play. Don't ask if I'm okay. Just when it bounces off of me, keep it going.
Right. Very nice. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. You're just doing it anyway. That's nice. Yes. And I asked you about your favorite quote. You said it always seems impossible until it's done. That's a Nelson Mandela quote. I love that quote.
Absolutely.
Why is that your favorite quote?
Because it's so true. Because I cannot tell you, Kimberly, how many times in my life people told me that the thing I wanted to do couldn't happen.
Mhm.
And I was very fortunate in that I didn't find that demotivating. I found that even more motivating. And I really, when I saw that quote, resonated, because the same people who would say that you couldn't do it, once it was done, would say, well, I guess you can do it. That's right, because it always seems impossible until it's done.
Yeah, and even for you, April, I can imagine as a very young child, your parents being so protective. They're like, oh, she's legally blind in this one eye, so there's a lot of things she won't be able to do. And April is like, well, I didn't know I couldn't do it. And so
Right.
you just did all these things. So amazing.
Well, thank
Wow.
you so much.
Yes. All right. So we're about to wrap this up. April, thank you for being here. You have been great. You've shared so much information with my audience. Definitely, I'm so grateful that you were able to bless us with your presence.
Oh, it has been my pleasure. Ladies, I'm rooting for all of you.
Yes, thank you so much. Before you leave, if you will share with my audience one action item for today, one tip they can use today, they can put in place and get going.
Absolutely. So I really believe in the power of intention. And so literally every day when I wake up, I lay in bed for another 10 minutes and I think about what I'm grateful for, but what my intention is for that entire day. And I reset that intention over and over again throughout the day in different segments. I did it before I got on here with you, Kimberly. I said, my intention is that we have a lot of fun and that I give valuable information for female entrepreneurs. So throughout the day, I set that intention. And it seems like the simplest thing, but as you put that out there, you can watch how your days become more and more exactly like you wanted them. And I promise you, if you'll commit to doing it for 30 days, your life will be different on the other side of it.
Oh, wow. That is really nice. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that for a week. Because usually, before I go to bed at night, I will plan my next day.
Mm-hmm.
And, I get up in the morning, I spend some time, meditating and talking to God first thing in the morning. And so but I never really throughout the day set an intention. You know how sometimes you start your day out and you have the best of intentions and you think it's going to run the way you want it to. And then all of a sudden it goes haywire and then you're frantic and you're overwhelmed and you're, So that sounds like a way for me to be able to say, okay, here is where I am in my day.
Mm-hmm.
Here's where I am. It is what it is. Now, from this point forward, I am setting the intention to get this and this done.
And it's most important then, because sometimes you can find that you've been drug into the franticness. And I ask myself, I'm like, wait, was this my intention? Was this what I know? This is what I wanted. And it can reset you in a really amazing way.
Thank you. That is so nice. I'm going to try that.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much, April. Audience, thank you. This is our episode of Inspired Women, Amazing Lives, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Inspired Women, Amazing Lives podcast, where we help women to be truly inspired to live their most amazing lives. Please subscribe to the podcast to be notified of new content each and every week. Feel free to like, comment, and share with the woman who inspires you most. I hope to see you next week on the next episode of Inspired Women, Amazing Lives podcast. Goodbye.